I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's that? Nsila ID soto.
Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Bare
ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ba. Ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluo?
Baluo? What is Baluo?
Baluo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
Gambia Social Registry Household Data Collection Exercise. The government of the Gambia, with support from World Bank, is developing a social registry as part of its move towards an integrated social protection system in the country. Gambia Social Registry will serve as a single entry point for the various social protection programs in the Gambia and will be hosted by the National Social Protection Secretariat at the Office of the Vice President. The social registry shall comprise households' demographic and socio-economic data. This information will guide future social protection program interventions in the Gambia and facilitate rapid identification of beneficiaries for programs. It will have the capability to be linked to other databases when these databases become automated. The enumeration teams from Gambia Bureau of Statistics, GBOS, will visit, interview and register every household in your community, so don't be left out. However, inclusion in the registry does not automatically qualify one for a particular social program. Social Registry has taken consideration of the key principles for personal data protection. Therefore, your data shall be confidential and protected. In view of this, we call on all and sundry to register their households with enumerators from GBOS. This message is brought to you by the Department of Information Services under the Ministry of Information.
to the Brunch on Kerr Fatou Live. This is our weekly look at current affairs. This week, we will talk about the just ended third Presidential Council meeting between Senegal and the Gambia. We'll also look at the current update that is on the coup d'etat in Niger, the reaction of the West African bloc, ECOWAS, and the counter-reactions from Niger's neighbors. Will there be actually, in fact, a military intervention? And what is the latest diplomatic moves that's been done to resolve that matter? And still on that issue, are we about to witness the return of the Cold War, at least in our region? All these are questions we will talk about in the studio today. With me to do that is journalist Yusuf Tello, or Flex Dan, from the Gainako newspaper, veteran journalist Bai Emil Toure, former president of the Gambia Press Union, and Ambassador Essa Bokar C, or diplomat, very well-known prominent Gambian diplomat who worked in the UN and also our ambassador for France, accredited to other European countries. He's now the deputy head of the OIC, that is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation here, the Gambian Secretariat. Thank you all, gentlemen, for coming on the Brunch.
It's a pleasure.
Flex? Baime? And Esa. Thank you. Let's kick off from the Senegalo-Gambian Senegalo-Gambian relationship, and I'll bring in straight away Ambassador Essa Bokar. You, having been a diplomat many, many decades ago, must have a vast knowledge in relations between the two countries. When President Barrow came to power, experts told us that this relationship had been nurtured now to an unprecedented level. And of course, we can see from the chemistry between the two heads of state, President Macky Sall and Barrow, that yes, this relationship has now come to a point where probably you can argue it has never reached. But then, of course, it also reminds me of the relations between Abdou Diouf and Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. Especially in the light of the fact that the relations keep at the back of a major event. In 1981, it was the July 22nd coup d'etat that toppled Jawara's regime, and he was basically returned to power by Senegal. Here also we saw that President Barrow came to power, yes, through an election that he won, fair and square, but President Jammeh had refused to go, and the international community, led by Senegal, had to come to intervene and to get Jammeh see the point to leave. So again, I've seen similarities in the circumstances of the two incidents. And so now, can it be safely argued that this is another marriage of convenience, just as it happened in 1981?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham, for inviting me on this platform, which I know is definitely watched locally and globally and respected for the caliber of minds that converge here. I will proceed philosophically and then use that philosophy as the lubricant of the engine of diplomacy. Okay? So what I want to say here is this. Like we always, hear people say evolution does not know morality. Evolution as a process, it does not know morality. But evolution as a roadmap definitely recognizes landmarks that are facts, and this is why some people will tell you history repeats itself. What does it repeat itself on? I believe for argument purposes, maybe for scoring points, maybe for political reasons, maybe for diagnosing some existential threats. You know, when we talk about threats, it's not about security only. It could be anything, you know. Some people stem from that to speak their minds. That's why there is a U.S. president who said he would rather be in a country without a president and a government than a country without journalists. Because engaging the people is very safe. So what am I trying to prepare here for is the way you put it. I like the contours of time that you just were running through the plow or thought process here. Now, anybody who says that it's a marriage of convenience, we had it in 1981, the coup d'etat of Kukoy Sambosanya. Actually, before he passed on, I had the opportunity of speaking to Kukoy almost every week when I was in America. So he told me a lot of things about how it all came about and how he felt. Now look at it. It's funny enough. People who were saying it's a marriage of convenience. Where was Kukoy's who was Kukoy's final custodian on earth?
Senegal.
He was buried in Yoff.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, some
but
of
then
us.
Of course, in politics,
yeah,
they said there are no permanent
exactly.
force.
And then in the case of Kukoy, it was not even about friendship. It was more about strategy, because the government of the day at that time had Kukoy there as some sort of a cry wolf or some sort of a threat. You know, whenever you say they would put the government of Abdoulaye Wade put some top secret level and send it to Gambia and say, you see, I know what was going on.
Okay.
So that in itself cannot be justified all the time, because Jawara, his former President Jawara, our father, a very good man, was closer to Abdou Diouf, in fact, I would say, than even President Barrow is closer to Macky. We know. Because
what is almost I'm trying to say that, okay, Jawara needed Senegal to come back to power.
Yeah.
Senegal needed Gambia in many ways
to
so that they can be able
maintain
to
peace on the south.
Exactly, the south. So a scenario like that, that's what I'm saying, it looks like replicated itself this time around in 2017, when, of course, in some way, Senegal contributed a lot, you know, to hold Gambia at the point of gone to live. All right? Senegal, you know, in return, actually, you know, wanted similar favors from the Gambia, again, for similar reasons as in 1981.
Yes.
So I'm trying to say that the circumstances of them coming together seem to be the same.
Yes.
So is this one not also another marriage of convenience, that Dakar wants Gambia in many ways, just as Gambia wanted Dakar?
I mean, you know, like, you know, nobody can control thought. I'm not even going to attempt that here.
Okay.
But my own thinking is that I wouldn't call it a marriage of convenience. As before we started the program, my brother and I, Toure and Dan, were talking about things. You see, Lamin, you're wise. You're trying to push me into where I don't want to go.
I'm just trying to say that.
I'll go there.
Okay.
I mean, you see, on the African plateau of politics, we always miss two words, which is intelligence and strategy.
Okay.
And this is why we have been colonized. This is why we are still victims of cultural imperialism. Because we don't go deep to know the unsaid in the invisible. So if you go and look at the unsaid in the invisible, then for me I will call it strategic approach, and it's a chess that we are playing, not marriage of convenience, because there is no marriage.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
All right.
I mean, because that's why I said evolution does not know morality. In any scenario in the world, I was talking to one of my brothers yesterday, and he told me, oh, the highways in the Gambia, the traffic, the excess speed and all that is an easy fix. And I took shower, I replied to him, he said, yeah, I agree with you. I told him there is no easy fix in state matters. That doesn't exist. If anybody tells you there's an easy fix in state matters, in politics, read political science, I think he wouldn't let me proceed if it wasn't true. There is no easy fix, because the complexities of human nature itself, how can you have an easy fix? It is not possible. So I wouldn't call it, for me, Isa, I wouldn't call it marriage of convenience. I will call it activities within the sphere of strategies at the time that those strategies could benefit either party, or one party would know how to play the chessboard in strategies than the other.
Good. Let's go straight to the point now. They met in Banjul in the third presidential council, and again they renewed the various agreements that they have signed in between the two countries in matters of defense, matters of communications, matters of security. How because you also have a lot of expertise in security matters and other matters, how have this relationship now advanced since 2017 and now?
I mean, for me, I believe that there is a Senegalese diplomat who said it, and another Gambian diplomat said something similar, which is Babacar Blaise Diagne. I mean, He's one of my mentors. He's a good man. This Senegalese diplomat said, La Gambie et le Sénégal, c'est deux États en peuple, which means, of course, I know you speak French.
I understand a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised even if you speak Czech.
Yeah, you said the same people in two states.
I'm not going to assume anything here. I suspect that Toure speaks many languages. So when what they mean here is one people, two states.
Countries, yeah.
They say two states.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the lane I always take when it comes to bilateral and multilateral relations between countries, I respect state-to-state relations because the states are the ones elected to head. But I also respect people to people. Let's say, for example, somebody was announcing something before I came here that Nigeria has closed its borders with Niger. I smiled. I told him, no West African country can close its border to the other. It's political announcement, but people-to-people relation, you cannot.
Yes, that's true.
At my village in Kuntaya, I can have my saret in Bam, and if I want to put a what we call in full of Dumbo duty in Senegal, I will go.
Yeah, that's true.
So you cannot do that.
Yeah.
So I think what states need to do sometimes is to gauge the needs of the people, test the pulse of society, test the mood of society, explain their standpoints to the people for public opinion, for public psyche to consume that first, and then they come and act. Because this is what happens. If it is only a week law, camera session agreement, this and that, and you are representing the people, most of the time where the gap of sensitization lacks, an avalanche comes. Because especially we live in a generation where, like Einstein said, nitrogen bomb was here, atomic, now we are in a communication bomb. I tend to disagree with Einstein a little bit, but I know what he's saying, because communication is not always bomb, but what he said is right too. It's like, for example, a person like, I will use my brother Yusuf Fatou to flex down. We were all here fighting against tyranny. Okay, the huge task or the most difficult task for anybody to do, if I was a minister of information and you tell me to tell Flex Dan not to talk, I will resign. Because I cannot achieve that. So how many Flex Dans you have? How many Emily Toures do you have? So sensitizing those people to understand what you are doing would also help to avert, these rising interpretations. Because those interpretations are not coming from crazy people. Some of these people are highly educated. They have chosen not to work for government, not that because they feel too good, but their choice is, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't mean that Esa Bokasi knows more than Toure does.
No.
So for me, I respect that side. So I think what I would advise any government, not only the Gambia government, is always test the pulse of society, test public opinion, understand what is affecting the public psyche, sensitize them, and then come and act.
I still want your opinion on how you see the two relationship between the two countries, as what has been achieved up to now, to the last conference.
I have given you the answer of the relation in a broader perspective. But if you want specifics,
in many ways,
achievements, I will just give you specifics from Tata Jawara's time to now, if you want.
Yeah.
I am one example. I was taken from here, taken to École Gendarmerie and trained and came back. Okay? So I think that's one achievement.
Yes.
Because today we are talking about my experience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I went to their military school, learned about method and technique, combat and all this stuff. Many of my colleagues did. That's an achievement.
Absolutely.
After the Kukwai Samba Sanyang coup d'etat, the Gendarmerie came here. Well, I'm not saying that what they did was the best of the best, but at least they introduced us to something beyond borders, because we had our field force and we maintained order here. But the dynamics changed. The field force would not have been able to be the ones to remain and be going after rebels who were trained in Mataba, Libya. Then we had to change. That's an achievement. Okay, when it comes to other things that are not achieved, to be bold enough, we still need facts to be on the table to talk about cross-border relations. Because, not everybody, people may not believe, but I have been in meetings where people in this government were at the top of their voices standing up for the interests of the Gambia. I'm not going to praise them if they did. Everybody knows me. When I come on television, I speak my mind. But I heard them saying, let's say the fact.
Yes.
People are facing problems at the border.
Absolutely.
Gambians here, they are in the cabinet.
I can tell the permanent secretary
Yes.
said it loud and clear
yelled.
that the experts should make sure that their words
I can
match
give
with
them
the
that credit, definitely.
Those are the type of things I'm saying. People still have problems.
Sure.
At the border. Not long ago, we heard that our transport cannot drive straight into Dakar with passengers.
Yeah.
That's still happening. Now, if they come and tell us that, oh, we have,
and also, not to cut you short, Lamin, one thing also, that's why earlier on, maybe I was becoming the mixture of diplomacy and security.
Yes, indeed. And
so
I wanted to put your diplomacy.
But that's why I said earlier, it's a question of strategy as a chess. That's what I meant. So now, you're very wise. You always want to bring me to specifics, which is good. So one thing I observe also is that our brothers and sisters, when it's about transport, they will just tell you, our transport union. Diplomacy is based on reciprocity and national interest.
Yes.
If that is the case, my advice is let's also empower our transport union.
That's what the transport union have been crying.
Exactly.
They want.
Well, I'm not going against them, but they are crying that they don't have a support, but they should also have a structure, because I've had their reactions when I came.
They have a union, a vibrant union.
I gather information, whether you call it intelligence. I listen to, you may not even believe what I listen to. I listen to everybody.
I know.
And I heard some of them, this one said it, this one. You see, sometimes also when you face authority fragmented, two things will happen. The authorities will bring you together and help you to come to be one, or they will leave you as you are, because that's the way they want you to be.
They want you to be.
And they need to organize themselves also and come with one president, one vice president, come and show people that we are this. But I had videos, they are accusing each other. You spend the money, this person did this person did that.
There's also a drivers union, and then
exactly.
I understand. So, but all of them agree that when it comes to Senegal issues, they all agree on one thing, that they face harassment from Senegal. All of them agree on that.
That is what I'm telling you. I was sitting and hearing our own people. It's not like I'm trying to support them. Had they done the other side, they know me.
Okay,
I would have said
let's talk about the other areas of cooperation before I leave. In terms of security, for example, there have been complaints from the citizenry that this hot pursuit, so-called hot pursuit, is actually eroding into the sovereignty of the Gambia in more cases than Senegal, Gambia eroding the sovereignty of Senegal. Because all what we have had, the incidents we have had, all happen in the Gambia.
Yeah. You see, when we talk about hot pursuit, sometimes it makes me laugh, because the kind of hot pursuit I know and what I hear and understand,
different.
you see, between us and Senegal, had we been really serious on what connects us, I'm not trying to be religious here, but I don't think we even need clause and laws if we are honest and genuine as the Muslims we call ourselves. We don't even need that. Because this hot pursuit, all these things, terminologies being used, a criminal is a criminal in the Gambia, is a criminal in Dakar, is a criminal in Mali. But now, when politics is involved, who is a criminal? There was a time I was considered a dissident, a terrorist, this thing under the former regime.
Yes.
And Flex, the same thing. Maybe Toure, maybe, of course, not maybe. Your case was as the same as mine. So that's not what I mean. So there is where we should be able to carve out something that will give us a better direction when it comes to hot pursuit. Who is being pursued and why is the pursuit hot? It should have been just cold. Because if you go to somewhere in Kidugu and steal a sheep, and then gendarme cars follow you up to inside the territory of the Gambia, they call that hot pursuit. I don't think that's what the international scene of security would call hot pursuit. No, because you don't need that. I mean, all you need is cooperate with the police in Basse, interact with them to a point where they will be catching those criminals for you, try them and jail them in the Gambia. All you want is somebody to be punished, isn't it?
So what do you then say of Senegalese, to crossing the border themselves, coming to do that in
that's what I'm saying.
in a different
Hot pursuit, the understanding of hot pursuit. You see, an irrational gendarmerie station and a police station in Senegal, some of whom may not even know what they are assigned to do. Until proven otherwise, I will not see you running after a Gambian inside the Gambia and I say that you are on hot pursuit. Because do those people following them in the Gambia even understand what hot pursuit is within international rules?
So in other words, some of these police or gendarmes may be acting on their own.
Most of them, I have trained with some of them. I know how some of them can be emotionally charged. I know. If you follow their cases and go to... There is this Salahule old man who said, you saw the video that he took his gold to Dakar. And then, and then the judge ruled in his favor.
Yeah.
The Senegalese judge.
Yes. But they wouldn't give him his diamond.
But that's not the judge now, because that shows you that the law has done its job.
Yeah.
So now what is overriding the law? Is it politics? So if these people also see that, for me, I will encourage people, if anybody follows you to a point where it's hot pursuit and our police are there, let them take those people to court until it is proven that it is hot pursuit. Where is the magistrate? Where is the what they call mandat d'arrêt? Where is the court ruling? Because hot pursuit, that's why I smile.
Yeah.
People are playing with words that they don't understand.
Okay.
This goes... Baba Ninsiso, I'll bring his story back, may his soul rest in peace. When he was arrested and jailed in Cham prison, I was the one who went there. I found him in the jail. That's what I would call an international arrest warrant, in fact, by extension hot pursuit. Because I told him, if you fly from here, you go to Italy, you think you can escape, Americans will arrest you there. So these words people are throwing around, I mean, you are not saying it, you are just relaying to me what people say, which is, of course, your role. But I think people need to understand what hot pursuit itself is. Some of these gendarmes in Senegal, I am not to disrespect them, some of them don't know it maybe.
Okay, let me bring in by email Toure, veteran journalist, and somebody who follows Gambian and Senegalese affairs a lot. How would you describe relationship between Senegal and the Gambia in these perspectives that the council's meeting want to do, security, cooperation, fisheries, communication, transport, and all other things?
Okay, thank you very much, Lamin. I think what we need to understand is that in international relations or in diplomacy, every country pursues their interests. There's nothing like country X defend the interests of another state. I'm not aware of anything like that. There is this guy called this American former international diplomat, Henry Kissinger.
Oh yeah, he's still alive.
Henry Kissinger, yes.
He was
so
foreign secretary.
He's a
remarkable personality.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah.
He said, as a country, you must have a good foreign policy. But no matter how good a foreign policy is, if it is conceived by a few, it would be implemented by nobody. And we end up failing. So what we need to do is to have a good foreign policy. A good foreign policy that is well articulated. So that in our engagements with other countries, we will use our country's foreign policy to pursue our interests. That is one. Secondly, because it's like many a time I hear, which is most of the time speculative. We are being controlled by Senegal. Where, without people say things that they cannot provide facts for, things that are speculative. At some point, I was talking to somebody, who indicated to me that she was told by a lecturer at the UTG that Senegal is benefiting more now under this current administration than under the previous administration.
That's a common saying.
I said no. I said, that is not the truth. Because under the previous administration, most of the contracts were awarded to Senegalese companies. Go and look at some of the contracts.
Even Jammeh used to say that.
He used to boast about it.
Jammeh used to boast about it.
That aside, how many trucks of, I'm not saying that because I don't belong to any brotherhood, and I'm not anti any brotherhood. Okay? But how many trucks of loads of food items were being loaded from Gambia to Tuba?
Yeah, this
and
really
order. I could
yeah.
recall there was a particular year, 17 truck loads of food items.
Tuba and Tivaon and
yeah,
Kaula.
they loaded from Banjul to
Tivaon, Tuba and Kaula.
The head of the brother of these CCs in Kaula, they would come. Jammeh would give them thousands of dollars. And he would, he would boast about it. So for me, when we talk about Gambia-Senegal relations, we shouldn't be carried by sentiments. Yeah, we must be scientific about it with a view to solving our problems. And let us not expect Senegal to solve our problems for us. No. It is not for them. It is for us to solve our problems. And in dealing with Senegal, and this is, I think this is where our shortcoming is in most instances. Instead of, us strategizing, we want to go to the negotiation table, getting angry, shouting. That's not the way to solve problems. Let us, in terms of diplomacy, let's think about best diplomats, about trade negotiators, people who can negotiate on our behalf, so that they negotiate deals for us. We don't take people just because they occupy positions. Let us take people who can negotiate on our, because these are things that require special skills. Whether they talk about it or not, whether they know about it or not, Senegal has one of the most advanced diplomacy in Africa.
Yeah,
I'm not
they
talking about
have technocrats in everything.
Yes.
Real technocrats. So not political appointees.
I think at some point, what we need to do is, when we're dealing with them or dealing with any other country, let us get people who know how to negotiate
in that area,
so that they will negotiate on our behalf.
Exactly.
So that, because at the end of the day, you don't go to the negotiation table and you allow the other side to come with what he or she brings in, and you start negotiating. You also must carry something along with you.
You must know where to start.
Exactly. You must understand the issues as well. Before you go, read the documents very well.
Exactly. No, you have to be an expert in the field.
Exactly. Because it's like, at some point I was talking to somebody, like the individual I was talking to, and I was kind of like, I know Senegal. I said, no. I said, when we talk about Senegal-Gambia relationship, we equally benefit from Senegal, and Senegal equally benefits from us. I said, between 2017 to 2020, $100 million worth of timber, rosewood, for that matter, was exported from the ports of Banjul.
And they are not Gambian timber.
They are not Gambian timber. So this is why when Macky Sall came here, what he said was, the only thing we need from Gambia is security.
He said so.
Because for them, it is the timber trade that is fueling the rebellion in the Casamance.
He said it's providing resources for the rebellion to
so, and I think this is where we need to, because when it comes to the Gambia-Senegal relationship, there are things that we need to fix as soon as possible. I think the standard we have, at Tuba, Tranquil, this is something we need to fix. Yes, we can say, okay, this is Senegal and Gambia, but then at the end of the day,
Tranquil is the border village near Dar es Salaam.
Yes, this is something we need to resolve. At some point, under Jammeh, they started resolving it, but then there was a misunderstanding, and eventually the Senegalese moved their forces in because, they felt that area belonged to them. But this is something that we need to fix as soon as possible, because it's like, yes, you can have a government-to-government relationship, but also you need to have what you want people-to-people relationship.
That's what he said.
So what we need to do is, let us fix the people fix the problem so that the people can move on. And this Banjul and Dakar needs to work to fixing this problem. The other thing that we need to fix is the Casamance crisis. This is something, whether we know it or not, it will continue affecting Gambia and affecting Senegal. Because at the end of the day, how many thousands of people have been, over 23,000 people have been displaced, around that area.
Yeah.
And that is affecting the people of both Senegal and Gambia. So what we need to understand is there are things that we need to work together to fixing for the collective good of our people. And also in terms of, like he said, transport, we need to get, an organized transport union. We talk about unions. We don't have unions in this
country. To a
country.
large extent, these transport unions seem to be much more organized than they used to have. In the
No, it's more organized, but
much more.
It's much more organized. But we don't have what you call, to be honest with you, in the truest form of the word, we don't have what you call an organized transport system, transport union in this country.
In comparison.
In this country.
Yeah,
when you compare it with Nigeria, Senegal, Kenya, South Africa, they have what you call serious unions, vibrant unions. They can collapse a regime.
They can paralyze the regime.
So what we need to do is to empower our transport unionists, build their capacity for them to also understand the issues. Well, accept it or not, the Senegalese transport unionists understand issues.
Yeah.
Some of them are highly educated.
Of course. Yeah.
So what we need to do is to build the capacity of our.
So basically, you're saying when we engage the Senegalese, we need to put the right people in the right places, so that those who know issues that are always tabled between the two.
Indeed.
And I think I agree with that, because in most places, even in this international fora, you go there as a Gambian, or you look at representatives, your counterparts from other countries. When they introduce themselves, they come with all vast experience and knowledge and pedigree. And who does the Gambia pick? A little boy from primary 6 or a little political activist? Look at our ambassadors, our consuls, our deputy heads of missions. I'm afraid, you cannot compare them to Senegal. Senegal, whoever comes to the embassies or foreign embassy must have had knowledge, along or within a long period of time. And these things count. That's why the quality of their representation is always better than ours. I think that's what you want to point.
Undoubtedly, and I think, I think this is when you look at most of it's usually the ambassadors are usually politicians.
Yeah.
Politicians or ex-military or ex-military personnel.
Ex-military.
Yes. Highly educated.
Former politicians.
Yes. But if you go to most of their embassies, most of the people working there are people who either studied diplomacy. Or started from the grassroots.
Yeah. Technocrats.
They're technocrats for that matter, and they will rise through the ranks.
Yeah.
And this is something we need to replicate, because it's what I always say is we need to, whatever is good from other countries, let us try to replicate that into our system. Because there is no country that has everything. You learn from others, best practices, and move on. Because there are things, there were a couple of months ago, and when some Sierra Leoneans came here to study our inter-party system.
Yes. They couldn't believe that parties who are contesting could actually come together.
And during the course of our discussion before the start of the program, Ambassador Risi indicated that the Gambians did very well during the elections and the impasse.
Yeah.
And to a large extent, this is why shortly after the impasse, you have about either 30 to 40 Nigerian officers coming to Gambia to see how we were able to overcome that system.
Yeah, because they always face that problem. Even now they have election disputes.
So, there are things that we have and we don't know.
We don't know.
Its value.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but if there are things that others have and we know we don't have, and they can help in enhancing our system, let's copy and move on.
Yes. Flex. What would you say, relations between Gambia and Senegal? Many people, like we discussed, believe that Senegal always, like to show the big brother attitude towards us, using strong arm tactics and whatever you have, their might, to make sure that they have their way in whatever agreements we have with them. I know in football, what Senegal really hates to see is Gambia beating the Lions. They will do everything possible in terms of noise, and even in some cases, like in June 2003, they almost suddenly created chaos for us in Dakar. all that psychologically to ensure that they beat us. The last thing they want is Gambians triumph over them. I mean, many people think that in many other areas between us, Senegal never want to see a Gambian domination. You believe that?
But I think any citizen would have that kind of approach. Why would I want any other country to, to take one over me?
But
like,
by employing fair means.
By employing fair means. I think most of the time, like Emil said, no country is there to safeguard secure the interest of any other country. I'm the least experienced here, sitting on this table. So I am going to have to rely on the wisdom that I'm picking up here. So I just feel that part of it is that Gambia, perhaps we don't take advantage of these agreements, for example, and I will use one, the fishing agreement, where we, Gambia, have the same right to take the same number of vessels into Senegalese waters, and the Senegalese have the same right to bring the same number of vessels.
What guarantees that is possible when they won't allow our vehicles, the same number of vehicles to go in there?
So if they don't,
if we had got the same number of canoes and fishermen,
this is exactly what I'm saying.
Will we still be allowed to exploit?
So this is exactly what I'm saying. If they are coming with the right vessels that they can use to exploit, and they know that they have got that, and you are signing an agreement, and you haven't even done your homework.
Exactly.
To prepare to understand the ground, can you actually take advantage?
The capacity, human resources.
So now when you put that across, you put that on the table.
They are exploiting this in two ways.
Of course.
They can come from Senegal and fish in our waters.
Yes.
And they come here and stay here and exploit it right within
in
our
fact, there are hundreds and thousands of Senegalese in this country. For me, I think the safety and security of Senegal and Gambia is interrelated.
True.
Yeah. So you can say marriage of convenience or whatever, but both countries have something to gain in this. And that's one of the main reasons. For me, I look at it like a model for the rest of West Africa. If Gambia and Senegal cannot have this federation, confederation, or Senegal or Gambia, and have cross-border trade, which is what ECOWAS is envisaging, so that we can thrive economically, instead of just doing business with all external countries. We're not going to grow. We will not have our echo.
Yeah, but why do we fail? Like I said, in 1981, we had a very advanced cooperation in terms of a confederation. You mentioned it. But it fell, not least because Gambian intellectuals here, were fomenting all kind of nationalism and, crying wolf about our sovereignty being given to Senegal. I mean, intellectuals were here. They brought it down. I mean, they virtually pushed Jawara to to disrespect most of the protocols. Diouf was angry, and one day in 1989, he put all the troops back.
Yes, and I think we have evolved. And even after that, obviously, Jammeh was here. And we talk about security and stability, the Casamas situation. There are a lot of things that have happened. I think Emil also talk about this Casamas issue. And now, even though we can all rightly say, I think the Casamas issue is now you could, depending on which side you are, but there's a lot more stability within that region now. I think things they have tried a lot of effort
thanks
to try
to cooperation between
exactly
Senegal and the Gambia.
Exactly. I think this is part of it, you see. And even there's a lot of concern. We've seen the effect that Gambians are complaining, 6 people at the drones and all of that. So I think when you look at the security situation over time, I want to believe we are probably heading in a better direction than we were in the past. But the issue now is, how can us as Gambia be able to take control of our own territorial integrity? And without full security independence, your territory is still under the hands of somebody else. But coming to the agreements, I heard one of the agreements is about health, which I really welcome. And that will mean that Gambians will have the same level of health access in Senegal as Senegalese people.
Public health facilities?
Yes, pay. And literally, go ahead with that. I think that will be really, really...
Is it going to be the same as Senegalese will pay there?
Exactly. So that will be reciprocal. That will be reciprocal.
Yeah.
So obviously that means that the Gambia will obviously have to do the same thing.
Well, Gambia has been doing that. Mark, the health minister was in Parliament. He said 30% of the drugs that come to the Gambia are dispensed actually to people who don't live in the Gambia. Senegalese come across the border.
But what are
he
they?
Didn't say
They,
but he said people come from.
But are they paying? Are they paying the same rate as the Gambia?
Yeah, because they come with Gambian ID card.
Ah, see, if you come with Gambian ID card and if you make it,
they present themselves as Gambians.
If
when
they
actually
present
they
that, you have to. So that goes to show. But
Yeah.
even now, if you present yourself as Senegalese when this agreement is sealed, then that will mean that another 700,000 people will have that same access. And I think obviously it gets to a point when we have to look at $25 is you go to the look. I'm always shouting for the poor people, but I want the poor people to get medicines that will work and quality health care. $25 is you go for consultation, you expect to get medication, and all of that is not possible. So these are all things which I believe can work. And I also hear one of the things that are coming from this is about commercial flights, taking off the tax on commercial flights, which actually will
long been said. It's
long
not
been
yet
said,
done.
and that will reduce a lot of the flights cost of flights. We can talk about you said about the big brother, but it's inevitable. President Adama Barrow sought refuge in Senegal.
He was asked. He was asked to choose where he would stay, and he preferred.
Whichever way you call it, that is, he was there.
He would not agree that he was a refugee there. He was asked to pick which West African country. He said naturally Senegal, because
exactly.
Said,
So that was the country he chose. And it was in there that he swore in.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Not only did he swear in, it was from that moment that he could actually call ECOMIC to come in, because of the protocol demanded that, he's the one who has to. Until then, ECOMIC couldn't come in. So I think, obviously, there will be that gratitude from President Adama Barrow, of course, and the whole security situation meant that he needed that support because of this was somebody coming back.
Not to the point where we have to surrender.
I agree. This is where I come away from them, from the current administration, to say that, how many years now? Should have been enough time to sort of have a rolling training program for our security officers, vetting. You can bring those who are in the know. I'm obviously not a security expert, but whether it is 6 months or 1 year of this sort of training and vetting that you need, because of concerns are there that some are loyal to the former regime, etc., etc. I think that those concerns are overinflated in my view, and I don't see the security in that light. I just feel that the president has to be a commander-in-chief, to build relationship with the security, to visit them a little bit more regularly. That way, there is a lot of confidence in them. I've been with security officers in a tour around Office of National Security, and I feel the morale of the officers is not there. I think we need to also invest into these security officers, so that it will not be a place where, we know most of the time officers' police security job is seen as if you are a dropout, but that should not continue. And then you expect them to perform at a high level. So where I'm coming is security sector reform is obviously very important, and ECOMIC will continue to be here if we don't get the right security sector reform to make sure that we,
It's Senegalese dominated ECOMIC.
Yes, I think it will be. It will be because of, like I said, the security of Senegal. Out of all the ECOWAS countries, this obviously, if you put Gambia aside, Senegal has most stake. The Casamance region is still in a volatile situation. Now, if you add Gambia to that, it will spread, and once it spreads to Senegal also, then that would be a disaster, because it can go further north, it can go further west, and that could be a disaster.
Basically, you said what Senegal is said. If they sell security matters to us, it's for a mutual.
It's a mutual. Definitely. The president even said it. He said, what did he say?
In a country that surrounded us almost entirely.
Exactly.
If that country is secure, naturally we are secure too. I mean, that is the selling point.
And even the president, Macky Sall, what did he say?
He said, well, what they wouldn't agree with any nation or any neighbor is to harbor what he called rebels or terrorists or whatever.
And that the only thing that they need from Gambia
is security and cooperation.
Security and cooperation. That's not from me. He said it himself.
He said so.
So you see.
Okay, Cham, I think I would agree with him when he said that Senegal has more stake in this thing. Because, I mean, let us be, you know, I mean, realistic and scientific about these things. You know, some of these things are not superficial. I mean, when Gambia finishes, Senegal catches school. You know, whether besides Casamas, if there is an upheaval in Gambia, whether we like it or not, Senegal will be affected. Okay. Take, for instance, when Jammeh insisted on, you know, staying in power. I mean, how many thousand, according to immigration, I said it was either 45 or 47,000 officially went to Senegal.
Yes.
What about the like he said, you know, I mean, the border areas?
Yeah.
They were just crossed into Senegal.
Yeah.
And for it is you and I who recognize some of these border, you know, borders.
Yeah.
I was in Kaur, I think 2 years ago, and I saw some Senegalese. I was kind of like, what are these vehicles? This kind of like, I know we are one people.
Yeah,
you know,
in that part of Senegal, they take Kaur as just. They talk about Kaur as if it is in the same country. Like the people in Casamance for Brikama. When you go to Casamance, they'll say, I'm going to Brikama. I'm going to Brikama. As if they talk about, they wouldn't talk about, we are going to Gambia. No. Just because of the fact that people are saying.
So those are, I think, what we need to do is we need to work to resolving some of the issues that would inhibit our development as a region. I'm not even talking about Gambia and Senegal, because you talk about trade. A few years ago, intra-ECOWAS trade alone constitute only 13%, because of the hurdles. A trader would face moving from one point to the other. We don't have cargo ships, to facilitate the movement of goods from one place to the other. We don't have trains, facilitate, because there were days when you have trains moving from Bamako to Dakar, but at some point that collapsed. But if we had trains moving from one country to other countries, that would have facilitated inter-ECOWAS trade, and it's the people of the region who are going to benefit.
Yeah.
So we don't also have, cargo flights, and that is also affecting inter-ECOWAS trade.
Yeah.
A lot of people buy fish from here and go to
Ghana,
and Ghana, and some equally also in Senegal.
Yeah.
But that's at a low scale, because they do not have, and the rules are not
there
also
used
good.
to be fish vessels that.
So we need to, and I think Gambia and Senegal are doing good. Because in terms of building a very good road network, currently Mauritania and Senegal, have joined forces and they are building a bridge, linking their two countries. Mauritania is building from its sides, moving towards the Senegalese side, and the Senegalese are building from their side, so that it will link, to facilitate trade between the two countries. And I think this is what we need to do. It is not about. No one country can do it on its own.
Absolutely.
And this is what we ought to realize. We keep on blaming the West, but we are not doing what we are supposed to do.
Okay, in that aspect, since you said all of us agree that if Senegal sneezes, we catch the cold.
Definitely.
So we should be concerned with what happened in Senegal and what happened here. Okay, that definitely introduces our next topic, because we have three, Senegal, and then we go to Niger and ECOWAS. Senegal in these days have political difficulties. Without not taking sides, I want us very quickly to give our perspective of what is happening there. We know the movement that calls itself African Liberation for Transparency, whatever, acronym PASTEF, led by Ousmane Sonko, has been proscribed. Sonko himself has been thrown into jail. A lot of people have been arrested, on charges ranging from terrorism to spreading terror, whatever you like it. you say. Sonko himself been slammed with 12 charges. His supporters said all those are trump-up charges aimed at, elbowing him out of the race because President Macky Sall never wanted him to run anyway. So these are potential opportunities for chaos, which we don't like as Gambians, because like we said, if Senegal is in chaos, it definitely rippling effects will come here. So what is going on? Is President Macky Sall been recklessly adventurous, or the rhetorics coming from Usman Sonko actually is definitely what nobody can accommodate? What is the situation? What do you think, Ambassador?
Thank you for pointing at me, because diplomatic discipline would not allow me to talk until you call my name.
But we just brushed aside.
So I'll just go back a little bit to at least support most of what I'm hearing from Flex and my in-law. So the thing is, we all remember the role that Bibi Dabo played in the 81 coup d'etat, and it was top-class diplomatic movements here and there. And Gambia has also been a supporter of the SWAPO, Southwest Africa People Organization under Sam Nujuma. President Jawara was a silent revolutionary. I was in the same school with people from Namibia, Amite School. We harbored them here. So as just to support Toure's point, we have a baggage that we can send to ECOWAS, which will not be soldiers. I don't think any country that takes soldiers and then Gambia government cannot afford to take them, anybody should blame them. I would be one person.
You actually brought in the third and the final topic
that I raised. I'll come. So now, that's why I took it in the past, just to build a platform for. I think when it comes to cross-border trade and all this stuff, what I want us to understand is that we should shift from the archaic to the innovative. And that's it.
Yes.
The innovation means we have to speak in darkness.
But we're still on air.
Okay, so then if I'm still on the air, then what I want to say is, what would I say again? Niger, we will go there later. But when I say innovation, many people, we are talking about Senegal and Gambia. But I have been saying this over and over and over. The fastest way to unite nations is economic interest and trade interrelation. You see, the politics will be just shouting, talking, but if I own a store in Dakar, I wouldn't want any terrorists about that. If Dakar owns Dakarua owns a store here, they wouldn't want war in the Gambia. For me, I cannot even understand. I like what Flex said, or maybe that is Emil who said it, but either way, that we are a sample for Africa. If we cannot succeed, then Africa shouldn't have any hope, which is true. I can't even understand. Up till this time, we don't have a Senegal insurance. We're talking about the signature of the agreement of health. The fastest, I don't know if they have inside it in the document, but the fastest would have been we create a Senegal insurance. Your insurance card cures you in Dakar, cures you here. We interrelate.
Health insurance,
I cannot understand why we don't have Senegal Sea Transport, Senegal Airline, and the Senegal Tourist Bureau. The moment we have this, and sometimes you tell them, people will say, oh, there is one thing I had studied in Gambians. I'm a Gambian. And that thing, I like Gambians as a Gambian, but there is one thing in Gambians, they should stop that. Because if a vehicle, in the thought process of Gambians, if a vehicle if thinking is a vehicle, their first gear is negativity. Second gear is suspicion. Third gear is, fourth gear.
The fifth gear would be like in my car.
Confusion. Then you will be stuck in the mud. You see, even if you look at the rhetoric, the sociolinguistics, our youth, they have one term they would say, easy wood, naham do de ham. You see, these things, we need to take them out of, because what Mr. Ture is saying is very motivating. These are processes that are possible, even in 6 weeks. I'm not being, because the know-how is there. And why did I say we should shift from the archaic to the innovative? All of us are flexing our muscles around. Senegal will tell you, code, article, nangam, this. Who designed that? The French. Gambians will talk about intertrade, distant, nothing innovated. It's just copied, or maybe somebody went to university and learned about it. But we should now sit down and say, okay, let's do away with it from the archaic or what we inherited. Why not we innovate something that is completely different from what we have been doing, and then we have not seen any results? Otherwise, if we keep on doing the same thing without realizing it, then we'll be qualified to be on Albert Einstein's vessel. He said, if you keep on repeating something over and over, you don't see a result from it, then you are mentally sick. Right?
Well, I still don't have your comments on the happenings in Senegal, but like you
Happenings,
said,
no,
you
want us, no, I can come back there. No, don't worry. I didn't.
So how do you think the problem can be solved?
The problem in Senegal, you see, it should not have been fermented. You know, when you ferment kush, it becomes an intoxicant. When you ferment cashew juice, it becomes beer. So that is it. This is an abstract drug in the psyche of society. In the beginning, there should have been dialogue. There should have been calling for a camera session and talk to this generational approach of things, because Mr. Sonko is associated with the youth, with the new breed who want to detach itself from anything French, from anything colonial, from this and that and that. But we had the same song from people like others. In fact, the time that Maki also was at the university, they used to go against the French as a student. So if there is dialogue, I'm sure there are a lot of similarities, because some people will tell you, oh, the Dakar was done, we didn't like Sonko because he's from Casamance. Maki is from Futa.
But in fact, Sonko is born in Chess, and the mother is from the north.
I know those things. I know that Maki is born in Fatigue and all this stuff. But if they want to say that, then are they not similar there also?
Exactly.
Maki and him are similar, isn't it? So I think it's a question of, you see, the people who make the political buffer zone between actors are always the problem. You see, what I call by political buffer zone is the one who will stand there and they wouldn't allow these two brothers to talk. Because one thing connects them. I know none of them, if we come to seriousness, facts, not political rhetoric, none of them will want to see Senegal born, to be born into ashes. I don't think either one of them wants it. So I think for me now, what I would advise our brothers and sisters in Senegal is, all wars end up on a negotiation table. So at the end of the day, if Laurent Gbagbo can come from ICC, rejoin Alassane and they hug each other, okay? They stay in Ivory Coast. These people haven't reached that stage yet. So why should they allow themselves to reach that stage?
Good point. Emil, you think, well, I said without apportioning blame, but then what should be done in the Senegal situation? President Sall eliminating possible opponents, or Ousmane Sonko being recklessly uttering rhetorics that make everybody scared of him, or, as they said, corrupting the youths? That's the new language.
I think what you have is two extreme forces. Because supporters of Sonko would say no, Sonko, no, but there are two extreme forces. Maki is a classical realist. He believes in the Machiavellian theory. That this thing was everything is about power politics. There's this, Machiavelli said, and I quote, power politics is the means, and absolute authoritarian state is the end. Maki believes in power politics. Sonko is is a similar person. Sonko is like, I have the command of the youth, I have the budget and the support of the youth, and I can always, incite them to take to the streets, burn tires, burn places, burn people's homes. These people, they're thieves. Some of their rhetorics, his rhetorics do not help, and Macky Sall's actions do not help. And because of the toxic environment, during the days of Abdou Diouf, there used to be serious tensions between Abdoulaye Wade and Diouf. But Mam Abdou was very influential. He used to, he was very good at, talking to both sides and resolving these issues peacefully. But now, you have a similar situation in Gambia and Senegal, where sometimes it's like you don't want to talk about politics because you don't want,
so toxic.
because
you don't want to be seen.
people will deploying a lot of pejorative remarks towards you, and as a result, this has it
has
forced the Syrians, to keep away. If you observe, they don't make any open utterance on this issue because they didn't want to come under, barrage of criticisms or insults. Because once you start talking and you want to bring this, it's like in mediating, you don't take sides. But the environment is so toxic to a point that it becomes so difficult to negotiate or to mediate because you don't want to be insulted. And this is why I think some of the leaders in the sub-region could leverage, could use their leverage to resolve the issue. A country like, let's say, President Barrow, has a good relationship with Macky, and Gambia can use soft power, to help in resolving this dispute. Because at the end of the day, when there is peace in Senegal, like I always say, if imagine if there is a turmoil in Senegal, we would be the worst affected country.
Many people have called on because Gambia government to intervene, but we haven't seen anything.
We are surrounded. So I think maybe in diplomacy, it doesn't follow in diplomacy. You talk about everything you are doing. Probably they are mediating.
But there should be people need to see action. That has to be in public.
I wouldn't want to speculate. But I would want to encourage Gambia, to use soft power to help in resolving this dispute. Because at the end of the day, it is not Macky or Sonko that wins. It is the region that wins.
Now let's look at this thing. If the problem was Macky Sall wanting to go for a third term, and most Senegalese disagree with that, because that's what it was for. That matter has been resolved. He said he's not moving. People say the next problem is allowing everybody to contest, and they believe, his critics believe, that he doesn't want Sonko to contest. That's where the problem. If he had said now, okay, I'm not going to contest, one problem solved. The other problem is everybody who want to contest can contest. This problem will automatically be finished.
I think in the first place, yes, I agree with you that whether he has said it or not, but that's the reality. He doesn't want Sonko to contest.
Yeah, that's where the problem is.
But I would have equally also thought that it should have been prudent on the part of Sonko, because it's like you don't stand there and say, I wouldn't want to partake in any negotiation or in any dialogue.
Any negotiation that will block my.
No, it's not. No, but if you don't go to the negotiation table, it's like, was there any agenda that says, we're going to block your
He saw that in the what he called trump up charges that have been, and all the bogus charges he went through, according to him, the case of Aji Sarr and all. He believed all those are measures to block his candidate, to have him disqualified one way or the other. So he believed he would not go to any negotiation. To negotiate his right, his birthright in the first place. That's what he believed anyway.
Okay, let me come.
That's what he believed.
Okay, Cham, let me come. When you talk about when you talk about trump up charges or not, that is
that's what he believes.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to put across is, I would have expected Sonko to be prudent enough, because at the time, when people took to the streets, and I think about 13 or 14 people died because of
March 2020.
his incarceration. I would have thought, he would have been prudent enough to change his tactic. But it was Sonko I wouldn't want to mention. There was, in fact, a prominent lawyer that, indicated to me that Sonko is going to shoot himself on the foot. And that is exactly what he did.
So his rhetoric,
His rhetoric. Because why would Sonko? Because it's like people died because they didn't believe, because those people believe that you didn't do anything. So why would you write to the judiciary and ask them to start the case? He did that. Maybe you are not following. He did that. So when the case resumed, and he came back to say, no, I wouldn't begin because I didn't have trust in the judiciary. So it's like you cannot appropriate and reprobate at the same time.
Yeah, but if all these factors...
No, what I'm saying is, it's like there's a charge against you. People took the series and died, and you were released. And the charge was in court. Nobody was talking about it. You were not rearranged. Nobody was calling you because of the fact that, they want peace. If that could have helped in resolving the problem, why would you rewrite to the judiciary?
But the thing is, if the president is magnanimous enough in the interest of peace and Senegal's reputation and all this, if he was magnanimous enough to take himself out of the contest, overlook his own personal interests, why would it be difficult now to allow everybody to contest?
Okay.
See, that's
what I would have thought also, that I said, I would have also thought that what Sonko would have done was to partake in the negotiation, one. Two, whether it was
politically motivated,
in tandem with law or not, but he was convicted. And if you're a convict, based on Senegalese law, you cannot partake in elections.
So you want to comment before I go
to
I just wanted
So I would have thought
it would be... Sorry, go ahead.
He would have negotiated, partake in the negotiation, rather than attacking his, co-opposition members. So it's like there are two extreme forces at war.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to
yes. Because he stirred my inner side with things he said which I like, and then I just wanted to push for the flex. Can I?
You always want to. You want to. I wouldn't say downplay, but gloss it with diplomatic.
No. In fact, he is more diplomatic than I am today. Yeah,
well, okay, yes.
So what I wanted to say, he said something about the Imam Abdul Aziz. He's right. You see, there are three dictators at play in Africa, particularly in why what he said is very, very important. And in fact, that should be introduced in the module of conflict resolution in the universities. What he said is true. What causes the toxic nature of politics in the Gambia, in Senegal, and anywhere, the first dictator is the gun dictator. The other dictator is the certificate dictator. The other dictator is peer pressure dictator, and I'll elaborate what I mean by that.
The one that relies on the use of force.
The gun dictator.
The one
we've gone through that.
The one who is argumentative because he's an intellectual.
No, the certificate dictator is even worse, because if certificate dictatorship was in the case of Ivory Coast, we have a professor, a doctor of Histogeo, who was the president of Ivory Coast, and it degenerated under him, which proves that it's not always when you have a suitcase of certificates you can be the best leader.
Just Latin Ouattara.
Exactly. No, I mean Bagbo.
Bagbo, yeah.
Bagbo's case was
educated,
worse.
yeah.
So you can see that's the certificate dictatorship. In fact, that's worse, because before people would discover that this is dictatorship, he will be aggregate out his peers at the UN and all that. That is another thing. But the one he talked about, we need to diagnose that peer pressure dictatorship is what is existing, and Toure is right. Not to show off here, but I am a family member of the people he talked about. I communicate with the current Harif General. I communicate with Ahmed C, representing them in Washington.
Do you agree that they don't
the inside, what he's saying, I know something inside because I'm family. These people is true, because you cannot have somebody who believes in divine power trying to talk to you. Nobody is more direct and frank than the current Khalif General. He doesn't fear anything.
Of the Tijaniya?
Yeah, he will tell you the truth. But look at what happened. A journalist somewhere in Senegal said something about the Khalif General, Sheikh Mahi, a great man I met personally, very nice person, very humble, but simply because of some people are emotionally charged, because like he said, not to take, like you say, Lamin, not to take sides, which is good. But when we take sides and extreme forces, the extreme of tolerance in power is not good, but the extreme of dictatorship is worse. So if you have two extreme forces, he's right. The rhetoric, because when you are dealing with a state is like somebody riding on a lion. That's what a state is.
Yeah.
As far as the lion is running,
Yeah.
you're okay because everybody will fear you.
You avoid
But
provoking.
what about if the lion runs to a point where it's thirsty and it's hungry, but there are no animals around it, and then it stops? Who would it eat?
The one riding it.
Exactly. But if there are other animals,
But it would definitely go.
that's what public opinion does, and that's what mass support does. But if we are to insult Toure, insult Flex, insult Esa, simply because you spoke truth, and let them speak truth to some of these people, because even going to a point of calling somebody Sayyidina and all this stuff, they should not. You see, we love the brother, because nobody, why would we dislike him? Why would we dislike Maki? What we want is for them to sit together, talk and discuss matters, because what he said, everybody else now is fierce to tell the truth to him, and to tell anybody now, if you insult the other side, and who is absolute, who is omnipotent, who is omniscient, who is omnipresent? It's only Allah.
It's only Allah.
So no person is perfect. So the imperfections that Toure is talking about, the moment they accept to absorb them, is a better way of trying to save the situation and save the brother from that situation and save Senegal.
Good. Flex, very quickly.
Yes.
President Macky Sall is right, or Usman Sonko is wrong. Who is wrong?
Oh.
Who is right?
Wow.
Very quickly.
That's a very...
What is the solution? Maybe let me ask what is
I think I would just go back a little bit to highlight that I think to set the scene, the main challenge has been President Macky Sall's third term, like you had rightly said. Obviously, Senegal has 2-term limits. Now, it was left to interpretation when it starts or not.
Yeah, that's right.
But it so happened that Macky Sall had actually made a promise, even before that he was only going to serve for 2 terms. And he also said that he would bring legislation to make sure that happened.
Yeah.
This was way back. And then when all this protesting with Sonko started happening, you know, everybody knew it was a case of the president, Macky Sall, announcing, are you going to go for a third term or not? He did so a little bit late. By then, 14 people had already died from the protest, and obviously the whole issue of the corruption of the youth, if one may say, as Mr. Sia said, these are all very
that's
old.
That's 2,000 years ago. It was your fellow philosopher. You are a philosopher. Socrates.
Socrates, that was the last time.
Didn't want to go to that
In fact, many people, when they started checking up corruption of the youth, it's Socrates that came up, that people started to see. So this is a very, very old law. And apparently it wasn't even part of the initial charges. But you know, lawyers, they are very, very, if there's anybody that I'm afraid of is lawyers. Lawyers are very, very smart. They know how to amend these charges, or I don't know how they managed to get it in. So the people obviously reacted to what they felt as, look, this guy wants to run for a third term and he is trying to eliminate our candidate. Reference Karim Wad, reference Halifa Saleh. 2 presidential candidates who were seen as the only ones who could have ousted, you know, Macky Sall. He put them aside. But like he said, this, for me, the politics, these gentlemen, or these 2 leaders in Senegal, obviously the President Macky Sall, of all of them, he is a very strategic politician. He used strategy to eliminate 2 of his opponents in the past. This gentleman, Sonko, obviously could see what was coming. The train is coming. But was he smart enough to try to maneuver himself? Because politics is a dirty game. Opponents use all kind of tactics. They will take you to court. We've seen that happening even in this country, where opponents will challenge the other one in court, and they will do everything to get their opponent out. But the way which obviously everybody saw it happening, now it seems like people are concerned. And for me, this is where my concern is when it comes to Senegal. Macky Sall will not want the opposition to come in my view. And the reason being, they could try to hold him to account for some of these things that happened.
Is that the entire opposition or only Sonko?
So, because Sonko seems to have the majority of support for me, from what I'm observing from outside. So even if you bring an opposition and they get Sonko's support, you will be sort of almost inclined to carry out a few things, or I don't know how that will manage.
Why is he targeting only somebody? In that case, he should target people like Barthélemy Dias and on the others.
Well, I think
even Mimi Toure now.
I agree, but you are fighting how many battles?
Idrissa Seck has not retired.
How many battles can you take on as President Macky Sall, knowing that now you have said you are not going to contest? So your main job, for me, is the guy who you think has got the most chance against you.
Start with that.
Is the guy he wants to deal with, in my view. And I think he has managed to use the law legally, even if Macky Sall wanted. Even if Macky Sall said some sort of a pardon. But the law is the law. And Macky Sall's decree, apart from prisoners, there are some things which the law allows him to do, but I don't know. I think can a presidential pardon of your conviction perhaps eliminate you to contest? I mean, that's something which we will discuss. We can talk about. But I feel that concern for Macky Sall now is soon after his leadership. What will happen? So he wouldn't want the opposition to come in and sort of witch hunt him. We see what happening in Gambia with all these commissions and all this Jane commission, the RRC, this commission, that and that. So that will continue to happen. Whether the Senegalese will not be looking at something like that and say, obviously it's not the same level of what happened here. So Macky Sall will be concerned about that.
His future.
But now, on the other hand, the opposition as well will also not want Macky Sall to bring his so-called puppet, who will come and succeed him, so that he gets an easy ride. So I think what you might see, in my view, this is just what I see happening, because I have been following Senegalese politics, and one thing I think about Senegalese politicians, they are very, very mature, in my view. They are ready to come together, and I know they've had this Bena Bok Yakar.
No, that is Macky Sall's friend.
That's Macky Sall?
Yew Askan Wi.
Yew Askan Wi is the opposition. So you can see, they always, end of the day, you might see two different blocks. Just imagine. Along those
in that case, then, that settles it. Let Macky keep Sonko in prison only for 7 months. The opposition will take over, and obviously they will release him.
I think that will not be a good idea. I really think keeping him in you don't want to.
If they wouldn't get him to release him, they would say, okay, let's forget about him. Let's keep the peace. Let's vote out let's vote for the opposition, and we take Sonko out, and that's the end of the story.
But I think there's something which we didn't talk about, which we really, the disqualification of their party, PASTIF.
The dissolution.
The dissolution. That I think.
Is that too harsh?
I think that was. I don't know how Senegalese law works. For us here in Gambia, it's obviously only the IEC. There's an independent body. Which can
but
do
they
that.
are using the law. This is a terrorist organization. They were fomenting.
Terrorist organization.
I just come in there a little bit, just a little bit, because before I was using my diplomatic decision.
Now you.
I think Flesh is doing these things on purpose. They say things that will.
You understand the francophones more.
So no. But what I wanted to say is this: it's interesting what he's saying, because I was talking to a Senegalese communication expert, and then we respect each other. I told him, well, if I were the communication strategist of the current president, at that time he didn't say he was going to come down. I told him he would stop talking about Manda, because Manda is term. I told him I think he should have been saying troisième candidature, because Manda means when you win the election and you start. So they were jumping the gun. He said, you know what, you don't have to say anything, keep quiet, because when you say this thing, it's going to
open a whole can of worms.
But another thing we should, because we are going to Niger. No, before we go, here I'm very, very concerned from the security angle now. And this, we can keep the sound bite sometimes. I do say those kind of things. Because it could come back. Let us all pray, because the two opposing forces that he is talking about, tensions, you know the U.S. president who stayed there for 4 times.
Yeah, we were in the past. Woodrow Wilson
what caused it?
Or Roosevelt?
You know, even if a president has 1 day to go, always don't be too confrontational. Because there is a difference between dissolving a party and deregistering a party.
Ah, okay.
You know?
So what happened in the case of
Because if you are deregistered, you are not dissolved, isn't it? You have not reached the stage of dissolve, because dissolve is very serious.
They've been dissolved, actually.
They've been dissolved.
They've been dissolved.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So those are precipitants of tensions. And those tensions could be propelled to uncontrollable chaotic situations. And when they are propelled to uncontrollable chaotic situation, it now shifts to an ungovernable territory. And when it shifts to an ungovernable territory, it's the justification of an extension of the sitting incumbent. So let the opposition take their time too.
Okay, Cham, I think the clarification I want to make here is in Senegal, here we have IEC. Over there what you have is Sena. And in Senegal, it is not the Sena that organizes elections. It is the Ministère de l'Intérieur, the Interior Ministry that organizes in consultation with the Sena. The Sena does the supervision.
Oh, I see.
So in terms of registration, it is the Senegalese Ministry of Interior.
Political parties.
Yeah, so they have the vested other parties. At some point, one thing that I think the Senegalese politicians are not serious about, even their civil society. Usually, when they are in the opposition, they will talk about reforms, particularly electoral reforms. But when they get to power,
they forget.
Yeah, they forget about it. The same thing goes for a media law reform. I could recall when Apply what was in the opposition, he said he was going to reform the draconian media laws in Senegal. When he got to power, he prepared the bill, he went to parliament. One would have thought that the opposition were going to join forces with members of his party to scrap some of these retrogressive laws. But instead, you have the opposition and the ruling party coming together to kill that bill. So one would have thought when Maki was talking about press freedom, all these things, if Maki, ascend to power, he was going to. But Maki the same thing, because he used the same laws against this guy, the Gambian Senegalese, the former energy minister.
Yeah, this guy,
Samuel Sarr. So because when Samuel started to criticize him, he, the Justice Ministry, proffer defamation charges against him. They locked him behind bars for 2 weeks, granted him bail. After a while, he jumped ship.
He fled.
Omar Sarr, the same thing.
And now Papa Alignac.
So the thing is like I think the Senegalese believe more in taking to the streets than legal law reform. And so long as they don't have this laws reform, they will continue having problems.
All right, let's finally, in the next 10 minutes or so, we talk about Niger. Well, ECOWAS deadline, supposed deadline, could be very much near. But then, will ECOWAS actually commit or deploy troops to Niger, especially in the wake of announcements from the neighboring countries there that they would see that as a declaration of war on themselves? ECOWAS dispatched former Nigerian head of state Abubakar Salami for more talks with the junta in Niger. Abubakar, did you see, was it even a good idea for ECOWAS to come with such a threat? It happened in the, people say, okay, it happened in the Gambia, but people have always said this can only happen in a country where the army is very, very, very small. Countries with bigger armies. ECOWAS didn't contemplate sending troops to Mali, they didn't do that, Burkina Faso. Why Niger now?
Thank you very much, Lamin. I think this is a subject I'm passionate about. I think that's why they're calling me everywhere.
Yeah.
So there is something I want people to understand. You see, political science is okay. It is science. But what I want people to understand is that, you see, intelligence and strategy, whether we like it or not, that's why Africa, they were riding on our backs for years, and we will continue. Because we do not entertain it that much.
Yeah.
Okay? When it comes to this ECOWAS, for me, I wouldn't even want to say they are wrong, but they are right. Like I said, it's an open-ended question. My advice to ECOWAS is, even if you are right, be strategic about how to place that right to achieve something. Because if you are right, but you want to believe that your right should be also true by might, then you will fail. So what I mean by that is, there are two lines where war is declared. Long duration war and short duration war. No country likes long duration war. Even the best of the best part of the world, Israel, Turkey, and all these countries. France itself, historically and strategically, trained there, I know them. They don't like, you know why long duration wars are not liked? Because of the attrition level.
Russia and Ukraine.
Your manpower will be depleted, your arsenal, morale, and then on the other side is each cluster bomb, just to give you an example,
Expensive.
is $25,000. These are things that I know I've worked in. Figuratively, I know I've worked with them. So it is not cheap. War is the most, that's why some people specialize on war economy. It is not cheap.
Yeah.
And no force goes into a country, FOC, free of charge, even if they say it, no. Because there must be something, and there must be a reason. Now for me, Niger, ECOWAS is ahead. It is like a military analogy. The battalion is coming, the platoon is coming or whatever, and then the section or whatever. There is what they call the lighter in military terms. The lighter is the one who goes to look around and say, okay, this is a suitable place for ambush, you can come. So reconnaissance, okay? ECOWAS, for me, let them understand one thing. Niger's, the theatricalities of the war in preparation is Niger is not West Africa. It is a pole within the geostrategic arena, within the geopolitical arena, and it's beyond what we think. If not, why did Mauritania declare their support? Why did Algeria declare their support? Why did the Italian minister said something very expensive? Minister of Foreign, he said, there shouldn't be an intervention. If there is an intervention, it's a justification of colonization coming back. This is an Italian speaking. So ECOWAS is already fragmented. Let us not underrate Doumbouya. Let us not underrate Traoré. Let us not underrate this guy Maiga. Koita. They are in ECOWAS, isn't it? And these are big countries. Now it's like quadruple.
It's now 4.
Guinea and Mauritania. Those people are in West Africa geographically, but politically they are out.
They are not even in ECOWAS.
Algeria, people were saying that Nigeria cut off their electricity. Algeria said they will bring a cable under the sea and give Niger electricity. In fact, there are reports that Algeria has denied its airspace to France. So this is not an ECOWAS stop. You see, people like Masadi.
That's what I'm saying. Are we seeing the return of the Cold War?
Yes. In fact, not are we seeing, are we feeling now?
Because we know in the past.
Yes.
I mean, the CIA. I mean, if they are critical or let's say they are hostile to any regime that is communist oriented, they will. They will.
One of the biggest mistakes that the junta did in Niger, I will say it here.
So the African governments were divided along communism and capitalism. If you have a government that is communist, the Western powers will overthrow that government, and vice versa. Is that what we are seeing?
Now it's not about communism and capitalism.
It's about what?
Now it is what he said earlier. No country will come to your country and build it for you. Now it's more about artificial intelligence interest,
and economic interests.
But I will not see Russians influence.
No, that's what I'm. Just let me finish here. I mean, one of the mistakes that the junta did, even if we are saying that this is why France did. If I were the junta, I would not cut relations with the United States. No, that's a big mistake.
That's a mistake.
They did a very serious mistake. You know what? America is there, and they have been fighting terrorism. It's not like I'm supporting them because I work with them, but that's the truth. They are there. Nobody has had them reprimand the regime after that attack happened with those terrorists.
No, they didn't.
They still align with the regime to believe that, well, you know, those are the terrorists.
Exactly.
So for me, what they should have done was to wait, to observe.
But why America specifically?
Yeah, but they not only America. In fact,
What I'm
diplomatically,
saying is you have no problem with them. You said so it's not a mistake when they sever relations with France, but you think that of America?
no,
was a
I'm not
mistake?
saying. In fact, I'm coming to that point. As a diplomat, you don't burn bridges.
Okay.
Their strategic approaches are wrong.
Very wrong.
What they should have done was to play the victim.
I see.
If you play the victim, you have more support at the UN Security Council.
I see.
Okay, but if you play the offense, the offense, even if Russia goes with you, there is what they call the culture of the brothers and the sisters at the UN Security Council. Russia will have only one veto. I'll give you an example, not exactly the same situation. When there was this turmoil in Guinea-Bissau, we were at the UN Security Council. There is what they call Friends of Guinea-Bissau, spearheaded at that time by Ambassador Baboucarr Blaise Diagne. You know, small Gambia negotiated between Eritrea and Ethiopia and they restored peace. Ambassador Diagne presided over that. You see? So, Guinea-Bissau, we had what they call Friends of Guinea-Bissau, Ambassador Ibrahim Kerr, because me, I'm quoting things that I attended, not I had, I did. Okay? So when they were going in, just for us to understand the power play, how it goes. Okay? Guinea-Bissau, by that time, the ambassador, somebody was in Taiwan, they shift gears and said they have ditched mainland China. Now they are going with Taiwan. Okay? Mainland China said, okay. When the UN Security Council met for the casco blue, the blue berets to be deployed, mainland China, just like my microphone is now, put it on and said they are vetoing. No troop is going to Guinea-Bissau. The chaotic situation remains. And when they veto, it's not going to happen. So, I know some people are in ECOWAS, they will argue it out that they know diplomacy, they are strategists and all this stuff. Yes, but some of us also have done things. So when you are giving signals, listen. Because the thing is, it's not going to be very easy.
Yeah.
You see, some people are saying that the intervention of the ECOWAS troops to the Gambia, President Sall called, President Sall did this. But he had people on the ground.
Yeah.
I will wait until one day that Gambians will forget. I'll bring out a letter that I signed. We participated in convincing that particular individual, and others did it, Gambians did it. Before he even called, he was supported on the ground by many, many people. So it's like the lobbying was going on the ground.
I see.
Is that lobbying going to be easy this time? You have France versus who? Germany is not
Germany.
now 30% of their energy. Where is it coming from? Is that okay? 24% of other EU members. Where is it coming from? Niger, isn't it? Now, if that is the case, is the intervention of France? You know, we are being very frank here because as scholars, as people think we are critical thinkers, when we are analyzing things, we have to be extremely impartial. Is France intervening in favor of ECOWAS or is France intervening in its own favor? That's my question.
All right, Emily, very quickly, your take on the ECOWAS threats for use of force in Niger.
I think the problem is like the timeliness of the coup d'etat is the problem, because Niger is notorious for staging coup d'etat.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people will be kind of like, no, I mean, because these are some of the sentiments I hear. Okay, it's good to replace democratic.
A long time Long history of coup d'etats.
Yeah, democratic regimes, military regimes. But if you observe, when Niger got independence from 1960 to 1974, it was one party state. You know, from 1974 to 1987, it was ruled by a military man. Yeah, Kuchente. You know, then later Ali took over to 93. 93, and this guy, but that was the time they had the first multi-party system.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Usman was elected. Yeah? So, you know, 93 to 96, this guy took over, President again. By the Maynasar, I could recall when the BBC announced that he was President again. Eventually, because by 1999, after 1 year or so in office, by the Maynasar, you know, decided to stage an election. When he conducted the elections, he renounced the outcome of the election to say, you know, another results to say the elections were rigged, and he was the winner, and he was assassinated with Madam Dauda Wanke. So you, I mean, if there's anything to go by, you would by 2009 to 2009 to 2019, this guy took over. What's his name again? Tanja did marvelous work, because he was one of those individuals that worked to making sure that slavery was outlawed. But his biggest mistake was his attempt to extend his stay in office. And as a result of that, he was eventually overthrown. Eventually by 2010 there was an election. This guy was Isufu was elected. He was there for 2 times. He took over. This guy, what's his name again? Bazoum took over. There was an attempt to overthrow.
Even before he took over.
Bazoum. But then, it was nipped in the bud. Even Abdurrahman was, charged to court, but eventually acquitted. So for me, the issue is people would say, this is military regimes. For me, it's not about military regimes. Because look at a country like Guinea. It was led by Lassana Conte for how many years? But his wife was bribed. The Toure was bribed. I don't know whether you follow in the trial. His wife was bribed by what's his name again? One of the Germans, Steinmetz. With $15,000. And he paid $460 million, and they gave license to him. 18 months after, he sold half of the mines for $2.5 billion. Half of it.
Wow.
18 months after. Something he bought for $460,000. 18 months after, he sold half of it for $2.5 billion. So for me, I think this is not about replacing civilian governments with military regimes. For me, that is not the issue. The issue is what we need to do as a continent. We must, put in, one thing we need to do first is we will have to work to raising the awareness level of the people. For people, to have a sense of belonging, nationalism, for people to love their countries. So that, like a place in Nigeria, you are not Northerner or Southerner, or Yoruba or Hausa. We need to decolonize our minds, and work to making sure that we build a sense of Pan-Africanism, And in Niger, I think what ECOWAS want to do is to employ gunboat diplomacy, where you have the carrot and the stick. And this is why this Sultan, they decided to send the Sultan of Sokoto. Because that place used to be part of the Sultanate. But that is not working. I think eventually ECOWAS is gonna, attack Niger. But then, I think where the problem would be is, would they succeed in liberating the man? Would these people not sneak with him into any of these countries? That's one. And it's also, like, because the main reason, a lot of people will be kind of like, why did ECOWAS not attack Mali? I can tell you, it wouldn't, 2 ECOWAS countries put together can overthrow the Malian regime. I can tell you. Mali has one of the, it's of late that they're building their army. But then the fact of the matter is like, when you attack Mali, the likelihood for the jihadists to spread.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think that's the danger we are faced with in the case of Niger. So, I think ECOWAS has made a pronouncement, and the thing is, I do not see how France wouldn't take part in this thing militarily, because it's like their interest is at stake.
You know, so I think there should be a way out. You know, how we will hammer a way out is another thing, but there should be a way out.
Flex, very quickly. We're wrapping up now.
We're wrapping up. I think you should have started with me. I've written 4 articles on this whole issue of Niger and ECOWAS so far, because we've been following it. Just to highlight, if you look at the map of ECOWAS, you will see that Mali is on the border of Niger.
Yes.
Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
These 2 countries are currently led by military regimes. He's also on the border. You have Benin and Nigeria.
Yeah.
At the bottom there, they are still in ECOWAS, and they are the ones leading the big talk.
Exactly.
Because of these people are on their borders, and they don't, like you said,
yeah,
they don't want this wave of extremism
to
come down, and they don't want it to get, once it gets to the coast,
it's a problem.
it's a disaster. Now they have access to supply lines, which is going to be a disaster. Of course, you have Algeria, Libya, and Chad on the other side, but they are not in ECOWAS per se, but African Union has condemned this. So I think what we are saying is definitely very likely that ECOWAS will go in. Tinubu, who has taken up the leadership, is a bit unlucky, if I could say. As soon as when he was the ECOWAS chair, he started talking big, strong talk against coups.
Do you think he too has been over-enthusiastic,
Well,
overzealous?
if you look at his history, you will understand why. He has not had a good experience with military regimes back home.
He always had it.
So this is why I feel that the game has changed. Because you know your first question is why now? And there are all these other countries, Mali and all. So there is also a wave, and this thing is actually spreading. Because if you look at the West ECOWAS as a whole, Guinea is on the coast. They have been taken over by a military regime. Mali moves right up a little bit, like from east, literally. From west to east now, we have a string of coups, and Niger is couing, is completing the string. So
and they speak the same language.
And that string is traveling towards from Mali, Niger, and it will come into Nigeria. So these are their concerns that this thing is, we have to right now. It's just such a coincidence. I think the first thing people must understand, the Nigerian president coming up is in different ECOWAS right now. It's a different ECOWAS. His first statement about he was very anti-coup. And so unluckily, within 1 or 2 weeks, a coup happens. It's like he was calling it. So I think what I am hoping is that at least these people who have held President Bazoum hostage should free this man. And if that happens,
at least
I want to have hope that ECOWAS may not take military action immediately. And that will be, at least we have complied with one of your ultimatum. And hopefully that will give peace a chance. But if they continue, because of, it's like if we are together.
But if maybe they want to hold him as a hostage so that they can.
That will be a big disaster for
them.
I think that will be all the reason ECOWAS will need.
We didn't have less time
because I think that Nigeria. See, what makes it difficult is that Niger, like you correctly said, had a border with Nigeria and Benin, and Nigeria alone has a military might to flush this out. Because of the proximity they have, they can logistically deploy troops there that can get to Niamey. I mean, I don't know what Mali and Guinea can do. Burkina can do.
They are on the border as well.
The Americans are there. The French are there. The French have 1,500 soldiers there. So it will be difficult. It's going to, like, the fear is it's going to widen the scope of conflict.
In fact,
that's where the problem is.
In fact, I actually slightly disagree with my uncle. Because I think this is now turning into military regimes. They are banding up. They are definitely banding up. Just this after Mali and Burkina pledged that they will support Niger. Guinea, Conakry
came too.
also have come to join the alliance of coup plotters.
Yes.
If I could, West African coup plotters.
So is West Africa sliding back?
It's going to turn out into a disaster. I hope it doesn't happen.
For me, like Toure said, it's not a question of blaming military governments or blaming civilian governments or whatever. And I tend to agree in what Flex said. Now, you see, for me, I understand His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a highly respected politician, and I have a liking for him because he speaks with confidence. I like that because you have to have that in you when you occupy that position. But I think it's a psychological thing. You know, it's just like in African matters. You are a father. You said, if any one of you steal this mango, I'll beat you. And one of the children will just take one mango fruit and say, so what?
Fantastic.
You see, it's natural. It's the reaction. He will say, yeah, now you will know. For me, I think he was talking to these people out there. I'm your father. Are you trying to disobey me? Okay. So, but I think when I hear that he has sent the Sultan, I commend him. I commend him for that. I think we'll appeal to our dad here that let him take the other approach, because the announcement he made and he was challenged and he came out and showed that, look, if you challenge me, I mean what I'm saying. Okay, but I think this Niger war, as I keep saying, this is not an ECOWAS country's war, whether we like it or not. This is a pole in the geostrategic arena.
It's going to have a whole new dimension.
Look, the jihadists will be coming. What happened in Libya during Muammar Gaddafi's time? I am worried that people may not, because I heard you say the Nigerians have the military might. You see, this is not military might.
What is it?
This is more about understanding how to use that might. Because look, Niger may be small before the eyes of people. They may be poor. You may be giving them electricity supply. But these are hardened fighters who know the terrain, who can endure pain, who can ride on camels and donkeys and have a god of water and live with it and a bag of biscuit. I know, we did studies on it. I'm from the US. I know what I'm... These people, Mr. Cham, before I go, look at the connection like he was analyzing. For me now, I'm not talking about Dumbuya or Goita. No. This is more. Now, what did Mauritania say? What did Algeria say? And Algeria said they are going to bring their troops, isn't it? Didn't they say that?
Not categorically, but then
but somehow
they are
because ECOWAS is also engaging
categorically in another way. Because the moment you go against the move, and then the other people, like I said, the regime in Niger made a big mistake. Number one, by overthrowing. To be honest, because when you overthrow, it's another thing. They should have, at least with that kind of impasse, what they should have done was at least to stay and maybe even come out and make a press conference and tell the countries outside that, look, this is what is happening. But when you overthrow a democratically elected president, you don't expect America to collapse for you.
No.
You don't expect any country to collapse for you. That cannot be possible.
Good.
But, you know.
Now, finally, of course.
Can I just add something?
We need to go.
There's an issue about a vacuum. Like he said, obviously, as soon as the security officers who are currently trying to deal with extremism in Niger escape, there's a vacuum. And we do know there is a Russian mercenary group currently which has presence in Africa, Central African Republic. They are also providing security in Mali as well. And we have seen the, love affair of the current Burkina leader, the charismatic Traore, captain, flirting with Russia.
Right.
This is a serious concern. Just 2 days ago, the President Bazoum, you must read it, he wrote an opinion piece on the Washington Post, which highlights some of these threats that could take the space, that the vacuum of not having the US and even France also there trying to accommodate this. And this, it could be a seriously,
that's why I said
a big disaster for us.
Right, good. All right, maybe we should also think of the solution President George Weah of Liberia said. He said, as long as, civilian governments are continuing to, among other things, he said, announcing fraudulent election results, and so that there will always be coup d'etats. But that's a topic for another day. Thank you very much, journalist Yusuf Tello, Flexstan, Baimil Toure, the Executive Secretary of the Gambia Media Council and former President of the Gambia Press Union, veteran journalist, and Ambassador Essa Bokarsi, the Deputy Head of the OIC Gambia Secretariat. Thank you all. We will be back next week, perhaps with a lot more, or a little bit more palatable topics from our region and from Gambia itself. Until then, goodbye for now. Thank you. Wow, wonderful.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovorex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovorex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Thipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.